Hi guys, and welcome to today's task. As you guys can hear in the background, there is a lot of stuff going on at the house right now. We are trying to get a lot done. It is crunch time at the house. One of the things we're going to be doing, which will be today's task, is removing this double door and reframing this wall in for a window. Let's get it done. First thing I want to do is take these windows off. As you can tell, they're not very well put in. The house is just, I don't know, been slapped together a little bit in some areas. So we're going to quickly get this taken apart. And then we'll just pull our pins and pull these doors out. In the past, I've shown how to pull out doors in other videos, and to keep things really nice, I don't care about this. This jam's gonna go, this wall is gonna get fixed up, so we're not really trying to keep everything nice and clean. Just get it off the wall. First door, go. If you guys are unfamiliar with how to get a hinge out, simply take a flathead screwdriver, tap it up a little bit in the bottom, and then set it underneath, and keep tapping up till it's free. Now, those doors probably could be rehung in this and reset maybe out where we're gonna go, but these aren't very efficient doors, and we're gonna be putting a new sliding glass door in just adjacent to this door. And it's gonna be far more efficient. It's gonna be a better quality item. And that's what I really wanna go for, is quality when we're putting stuff back into this house. So whoever installed this door did a pretty good job. They actually went back and reinforced this jamb with bigger and longer screws. They put them in the hinge sections, which is what I like to do when I'm installing a door. And we'll show more about that in a later date. But I need to keep that in mind when I'm pulling this off. Most of these you can just put a pry bar behind it and start popping it off. But where there's deep penetrating screws in here, we really need to look for them and pull them before we rip the wall apart. Okay, the door is all the way gone, the jam's gone, everything. So now I just need to remove this strip of sheetrock so that I can adhere the new wall to directly under that header. When I've done projects in the past, I've tried to be like, oh, I don't want to get rid of that because I got to re-mud that, or we got to redo some stuff there, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot more work trying to Mickey Mouse around it rather than just taking it back to where it needs to go and having your sheetrock guys, when they come, to just put a new piece there. We already got tons and tons of board feet of sheetrock that's got to go up. I may as well just have them redo this while I'm at it. Now that we've got our opening all the way cleared, everything's out of the way, we've cleaned up, we've gotten it as smooth as possible, we are ready to start putting the wood back in this. And I'm going to frame this as if it doesn't have a bottom plate and as if there is nothing here. So I'm going to put a top plate and a bottom plate back in and new sides. One thing I really want to do is work off of this stud right here. I realize I have studs right here, but this stud lines my 16 on center, and I can just work off that all the way over. I feel like that will just keep me in line with all of this wall. And I like the idea of staying 16 on center on studs as far down the wall as possible. So I'll still have to have an end here, and then I will just work my way over from there. So I'm going to take a few measurements. And what I recommend doing is coming down to the bottom, grabbing your pencil, and then making your marks where you want to start, right here. Now I'll transfer this mark into this wall when I take these new dimensions, and they'll be the same. I've gone ahead and cut my top and bottom plate to the dimension that we measured earlier, 71.5 inches. It fits really, really tight and really well, and I actually just laid them right in place. This is my top plate, this is my bottom plate. Now, what I want to do is go through and make all my markings along these so that they're already in place when I start framing. That's kind of the best way I found to frame a wall, is do your top plate and bottom plate at the same time with markings. That way you already have kind of a story pole, as they call it, of what you need to do when building that wall. Then there's no guessing work, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You already know exactly where everything's got to go. So all you do is get your stud length and then work your way out. We have a window in here, so there is a little bit of work that we're going to have to deal with here, and I'm going to take care of that as we go, and I'll show you what I'll do. But first off, like I say, I want to start from this stud all the way back here, because that's my earliest 16 on center, close to here. And then I'm just going to make a mark as we go. 16 here, 32 here, 48, 64. And if you're wondering, all of the red marks are 16 on center on your measuring tape, so they're the easiest to keep track of. And when you mark it, you want to mark an X to the side that you know the stud's going to go. All of mine are going to go to the right, so I put the X on the right. Then I can take my square, now that they're lined up, and run them across both studs. All my studs are marked out, 16 on center. But I have a few markings here on the floor that you can't really see. I know that my blueprints show me going from this edge of the wall all the way over to 30 inches. And at 30 inches, I start a window. So I know I have to have a stud on the side of that, and then I come over 30 inches, 36 inches from that marking. Sorry, on that mark, I come over 34 inches because it's going to be a 34-34 window. And the 34 is the rough opening that I want it to be. So I know that's going to be right here. And on the windows, you need to remember you're going to have a king stud and a jack stud. Instead of marking an X on the outside of that, I'm going to mark a J because I know that'll be my jack stud. So now you'll see X's and an X and a J and an X and an X and a J and an X and an X and an X. And I know I've got an X there as well. All of that is my kind of story and outline for how we're going to frame this wall. My measurements didn't look quite right, so I double checked, and I'm glad I did because they are off just a little bit. Now I am going to take my measurement of my window off of the top of my top plate. I'm going to come down 34 inches and mark that right there. I'm going to do the same on this one. And that will tell me where I'm going to put that next board across here. 36 5/8. Okay, I realized I just made a huge mistake. Not that big of a mistake when it comes to framing this wall, but I definitely screwed up somewhere. And what I did was screw up where my jack studs and my king studs are going to go. I put my jack studs outside of my window dimension. And that's wrong. They actually go inside your window dimension because they're holding up your window, and your king studs go on the exact outer dimension. So what I'm going to do is cut these king studs and bring them into where my jack studs go, and then my jack studs will work. And that's really a bummer, but that's what happens. Even professionals make mistakes now and again. Even though I am not a professional, I am an amateur, and I will make lots of mistakes. It's good to recognize where you made a mistake now and fix it now rather than putting it up and then having to try and fix it later, because that's a lot harder. Now, we can get back to this as if it didn't happen at all. So we're going to align where our jack studs were is where our king studs are going to go. Hopefully, if I'm correct, we should be at 34 inches, which is exactly what I am at, which is where I wanted to be. Now, I've cut my two jack studs in this wall, and because my jack studs go to the height of this board that's going to go across, I went along and cut my two extra studs that are going to go that keep this wall 16 on center all the way over. And so they were the exact same length as my jack studs. So that was really simple to do and really easy. And because I needed to know where my studs are going to go, I took it and lined it up on the outside of this, and then made lines across where my other studs are going to go. So now this should just fall right into place. Before I set this wall up in place, I really want to make sure I've got plenty of nails in the gun, because I don't want to get it in place, be holding it in a funny way, and then all of a sudden realize I don't have any nails to nail this thing in place. I have to set it back down again. Once it's up, I want it going up and in. Have your hammer ready as well so you can tap it in if it's tight anywhere. And we're ready to put this wall up. Perfect. So you don't tear apart this wood and beat directly on it too hard, I recommend grabbing a spare piece of wood and just putting it on and then beating it into place. Now we're gonna start nailing it, and I really recommend grabbing a part, nailing it, and then kind of work your way down and make sure, because you may have to wobble that wall back and forth to make it sit plumb to the original wall there. You guys, there it is. This window is cut, this wall is in. We are making so much progress on this house, and I'm so excited about it. The windows are on their way, and when they get here, I will show you how to install the window in this opening. I will also show you how we're gonna change all the windows out in the entire house. If you guys like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you're interested in any of the tools that I'm using in today's video, I will leave them in the link down below. You guys, I hope you enjoy these videos as much as I do making them. And until next time, we'll see ya. Hey boys, where's my drill? So now my entire, hey boys, you gotta be quiet. Now, my entire, guys, quit making noise. Boston, what are you doing? You can be out there, but you just can't make noise. Cody, Boston, where's my drill at?